All right, welcome back. So we talked about Broadway there. You saw a little clip from Hadestown. Now we go to off-Broadway. So these are also professional theaters, which means the actors get paid. The name is derived from the location of its theaters all over Manhattan that are not on Broadway, defined by limited capacity. So again, like Broadway was 500 seats or more. Off-Broadway has between 100 seats and 499 seats. So that denotes off-Broadway. Again, there are some theaters that are off-Broadway theaters that exist amongst the Broadway theaters. And why they're not Broadway theaters, even though they're in that stretch that we saw in the last video in Midtown Manhattan, is because they have less than 500 seats. So they're known as off-Broadway theaters. Now what this also does is just makes the actors make a little less money at off-Broadway than they do on Broadway. As you can see here, lower salaries. Off-Broadway, because they pay the actors less, there are less seats, so the footprint's smaller, so rent costs less, electricity costs less. I mean, not significantly, but it can be significant. It serves as a showcase for new talent. For Broadway shows, you get a lot of producers on, you can get a lot of money, again, $8 to $12 million. Off-Broadway shows cost about $500,000 to run, typically. You have untried artists, new pieces, new companies, new playwrights. All the new people that are trying to make their way up to get onto Broadway are doing off-Broadway. But nowadays, there also go a lot of stars off-Broadway that are doing interesting plays they just want to do. So there are a lot of plays that go from off-Broadway. They're trying these new things out, new plays, new musicals with new actors, and hopefully we'll get to Broadway. It's called transfer, where they'll raise a lot of money and be able to do the $8 to $12 million buy. You have shows like Grease were off-Broadway before they went to Broadway, A Chorus Line. Hamilton was off-Broadway at the Public Theater for my last module before it went to Broadway. Just a lot of different plays. Dear Evan Hansen, Hadestown, Once, many, many more, and will continue to. And then we have off-Broadway. So this appeared in the late 1950s as a place dedicated to the process of creating art and exploring the possibilities of the theater. So this is 100 seats or less, right? 99 or less. So, or rather 90 seats or less. So that's off-Broadway. They're small little theaters. They feature imaginative but seldom elaborate sets and costumes. Imagine they're very small. There's not going to be a lot of set and costume involved. And there's not looking at Broadway at all. These are experimental pieces they're trying to just do for themselves and for their public. So off-Broadway and off-Broadway are different. Off-Broadway is small. Off-Broadway is a little bit bigger, hoping to get to Broadway, and then Broadway is the biggest. Here's a video, Watch from the Tank, which is a theater that has off-Broadway vibes to it.